Welcome back to another episode of Mr. Simonson's Digital Art Emporium. Today, in this episode, we will be making a desert landscape painting digital. So, we'll be using our app on our phones or your drawing tablet or a touchscreen computer. There are a variety of apps that you could use. Whatever works best for you is what you should use. There are many different applications that have many different types of tools that you could use. Really, pick what one works best for you and go with it. So, if you haven't checked out the content that shows you how to find particular apps and previews and demos them, check it out. All right? So, we're going to go right in and get to this one. All right, we're going to start in on our app. And what we're going to do is something a little bit different. We're going to start off with a toned page this time. Instead of going with white, we're going to choose black. But actually what we're going to do is go to this, and what we can do is just pick just a little bit above and kind of go into a brownish color. We want it pretty dark. Not completely true black, but something pretty close to what black looks like. All right? So, we're going to be working in a landscape. Of course, if you would rather do this in portrait, that's fine too, all right? So, for this, we are going to go with a dry oil brush. It's probably one of my favorite brushes in these apps. It gives a really nice effect. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off with kind of a really nice orange. Actually, let's go with kind of a pretty bright orange. Now, a great thing that I've said a lot with these digital drawing is that you have the opportunity to adjust your size for your brushes, and we can also really get zoomed in. Okay, so what we're going to do with this first one, we're just going to kind of really get there, and we're going to start off with our sky. Kind of what we are looking at to have for where our sun / could be a moon is going to be at. So, we're going to bring it in, and then we're going to just kind of give us a little bit of a cloud formation, okay? So we're just going to kind of like some fingers that are coming off of a central palm, kind of coming up off of there, okay? And then we're going to kind of curve it around. Okay, and maybe we'll just extend this down just a little bit. And we'll just get one that goes way out there. Just really drag that one out. Okay, and then what we're going to do is come really close in. We're going to adjust the size. And then we're going to really just kind of layer in a couple little clouds. Just like that. A couple little ones. Nothing too crazy. One more. Sounds great. Alright. So, now what we're going to do is we're going to add a new layer. And now we're going to go into the red. And what we're going to do now is we're going to just drop the opacity a little bit. And we're going to switch to watercolor. Alright? And yeah, we'll maybe play with the size a little bit and see what that looks like. And we're going to just layer this watercolor right on top of our orange. And this doesn't have to be exact. You can kind of play with the edges a little bit and not go exactly over the top of your oranges. We're just kind of giving a little bit extra. We're going to put this on a separate layer like we're at right now. Okay. So we're just going to kind of layer that in. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Now let's just play with that just a little bit. Maybe drop the opacity just a little bit. That looks good. Okay. We're going to add another layer in. Now we're going to go with more of an orangey, kind of more of a yellow color. We'll drop the opacity and our brush size just a little bit more. And now we'll layer this in we're just kind of adding in a little bit. Okay. Just kind of giving it a little bit more depth, throwing in a little bit more color. We don't want to go solid. Don't want anything to be real too consistent. We're just kind of throwing in a little extra color. Okay. Alright. Got some nice colors going on there. Okay, now what we're going to do is we are going to... I like where that's at, so let's go ahead and merge them down. We're going to merge all these down into one layer. Okay, now we're on this one layer. What we're going to do is keep that one right there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go into our tools, going to go over to the smudge tool, and we're going to put those two strength and size down just a little bit, and we're just going to kind of feather the edges of this a little bit, kind of play around with it. We've got a lot of steps to go with this, but we're just kind of blending those colors in together. Kind of, you can move them around a little bit. Clouds are really great because clouds are always different, and there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of manipulate and what clouds look like. So don't be afraid to really go for it. Maybe push some a little bit further like I'm doing in here. Drag it over. Just really have fun with it. Especially the edges. We want those edges to kind of get that nice feathered look to them. Don't want anything that's got too solid of a color. There we go. Cloud's got that really nice kind of almost a marbled look now to it. Really wispy. There we go. I'm going to push this in a little bit. There we go. Alright. Now, we've got a pretty solid layer there. I like what's going on. We've got lots of color, and we'll come back and add a little bit more to that later. We're going to add another layer. Alright, now what we're going to do is we are going to use our watercolor tool right there. And now we're going to grab this eyedropper. This is a really handy tool because that allows us to kind of pick from a color. So we're going to just drop some color in, just right there. Then let's go ahead and jump up our brush size, grab one of those colors that are already there, throw that on there, grab maybe a red, throw a little bit of red on there, okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our smudge tool, our blender tool, let's go with the blender, and we're going to up the size and the strength. Let's go about half. Let's see how that works. What we're going to do is we're just going to push it down. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Maybe a little strong. Let's back that up. Great thing about digital is you can always back it up. Let's go about half that in strength and size. See what that looks like. There we go. Kind of bringing it out a little bit. Kind of spreading that out. Perfect. Just like that. Excellent. Alright. So we can move on from here. We've got a nice kind of reflection going on. So what we're going to do is zoom way in, and what we're going to do now is go over to our dry oil brush. That's one of my favorites. And then we're going to pick a nice brown, nice deep brown. Okay, make sure we have a fairly small size. We don't want anything too big. What we're going to do is we're going to put in a hill. Alright, let's put in this lighter brown just so we can kind of see what's going on. We can always make adjustments. Now this is a hill that's kind of way off there. Let's bump that size up a bit, and then while we're here, let's decrease that tone, just make it a little bit darker. You're really free to kind of do this however you want. Your hills, they can look however you want. They can be big jagged points, or they could be kind of nice soft hills that roll together. It's really up to you. Being art, you can kind of make it however you want. So we'll just keep layering that in there. Maybe I'll jump up, since I've got a bigger size, I'm going to add a little bit more of a brush so I can kind of get a little bit more coming off of there. Okay, we're going to just layer that in. Kind of layer it in right there too. Bring it down. Okay, now I've got a nice mountain range in there. I've got a nice kind of medium tone. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some lighter stuff and some darker stuff. Okay, so we've already on that set, so let's go darker. We'll drop the opacity a little bit and the brush size. So since it's darker and our sun is on that side, which we'll go back and add, we're going to just add some darker tones on this side. We can really be pretty free with those. Okay. And then we're going to add in some lighter tones, some really nice bright ones, and we're going to drop that size down for something pretty small. We're just going to throw in a little bit of that orange color. That nice reflection. Maybe hit another spot where the sun just glints off a rock. Okay. And then we'll maybe just throw in, we'll go to our watercolor, go to the red, and we'll just throw in a little bit of a red tone just to kind of add some nice coloring. Okay. Now we're going to go to our blender. Yep, let's go to the blender, and we're going to go really small, drop that strength down. We want to just kind of blend that, soften those edges. Don't go too strong because we want to keep some of that on there. There we go. Nice 3 hills going. Alright. So now I have a pretty good idea where some things are going to be at. Let's throw in our sun. Okay. So new layer right there. Okay. Now this is a pretty cool tool that we've seen in another episode if you've watched some of the others. This was in our digital landscape with the mountains and the trees. What we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to pick just our, let's go with a dry oil. And let's pick a nice bright yellow. Okay, and then what we're going to do is go to that tool I was talking about, the ellipsis tool. And now we're going to put in a sun. So let's just kind of throw a sun in somewhere around there. Okay. We're going to have to bump up our size a little bit. Let's just keep going. There we go. Now the ellipsis is a really cool tool, but it contains our line making to that spot. So now we've got a really nice sun shape, really nice, and that dry oil doesn't disappoint and gives us a kind of nice frayed edge. So let's go ahead and we're going to stay on this layer. We're going to drop that size down quite a bit, and let's just grab our eyedropper tool and just pull our color from right there. What we're going to do is we're just going to throw in a little tiny cloud. Let's even drop our size down. We got to go way down, maybe like a 4. Oh, and we need to throw our opacity up. Let's go ahead and go with the pencil. Drop our opacity a little bit. Size is about an 8. Let's see what that looks like. There we go. We're just going to put a little bit of cloud in front of our sun, just to kind of obscure it a little bit. We're going to continue this out there. Just carry it, and you can draw these in however you want. Adding in a little bit more. Okay, and maybe I'm just going to cover up some of the bottom. Okay, and now we can go ahead and grab our blender tool. And we're going to drop that strength because we don't want to mess it up too much. We're just going to kind of soften that up. Kind of a hazy cloud that sits in front of the sun. And then we'll make sure we soften that up around the edges. There we go. Really starting to look like something there. Let's go ahead, look at our layers. I think we can go ahead and move the sun and drop it down. Oops, that was the wrong one. We can drop it down, merge down onto there. Let's go ahead and just soften some of this around there with our blender tool. It's up to you. I just want to kind of dissipate some of that red. Yeah, it looks pretty good. All right, let's continue on. We've got another layer. We've got our hills, some hills way off in the distance. And let's actually just go back, use our dry oil brush, go with that nice yellow, and just use a really light opacity and just see if we can kind of play in a little bit more color. Make sure we're on the right layer though. Give it just a little bit of a glint. Sun shining, playing off of those hills. There we go. That nice highlight really kind of bumps them up. Alright, so our next step is we are going to put in some rolling hills that are going to be coming on towards us. So what we want to do is let's go ahead and drop this, merge down, there we go, add in a new layer. So we're going to add some new layers in. Let's go ahead and work back with our watercolor. Find that. Let's go ahead and grab kind of one of those dark browns. Okay, let's see where our brush size is at. It might be okay. What we're going to do is just kind of bump up that opacity quite a ways. We're just going to layer in some soft hills. And we might have to bump up that brown color just a little bit. There we go. Just some soft hill layers in. Just kind of adding them in. Not going to do anything too crazy. These are kind of just like where they're going to be at. We'll add some more depth and some more color to them. We'll get one to get real close, kind of with what we're going to do later. We're going to add in a cactus. So we'll throw in a layer there. Throw in a layer there. Maybe one more there. Alright, we've got some nice tones in there. Great thing about this is once we did all that work with the sky, we kind of have our colors already set. So what we can do is we're still on this layer, so that's good. Let's just go ahead and grab some of our sky colors and kind of layer those in. But what we'll do is we'll just drop the opacity a little bit. Okay, let's add this next round of colors on its own layer. Great thing about when you add lots of layers is when you're having lots of different kind of color fluctuations, something I like to do is make sure I'm on different layers, because sometimes I don't like too much of a color coming in. Like right now, this color that I've got layering in there is too much. I don't like how much color it is on there, but I do like what's happening with the tone, and I like that kind of added interest that we've got going on in there. And I also don't like it sitting above the brown. The brown will help out to kind of diffuse that a little bit, but it's good to have in lots of layers. So we've got that on there. Go to our layers, drop that below the brown, and then also we can drop the opacity of that down as a whole. So now we see a huge change. So let's go ahead, we've got some of that. Let's add in just maybe a little bit more of a grayed color. So let's just take this color we've already got and just kind of walk it back that way, drop the opacity. Let's add in another layer. Like I said, putting them on different layers really helps to kind of evaluate where you want them at. Really helps you kind of like layer them in nicely, and it also allows you to manipulate them on a different level. I like having lots of tones in there, and it's really nice to kind of add that nice depth to it. So what I'm going to do then is go to that layer, drop the opacity. See, now we've got some really soft colors going on. I'm going to merge this one down with that one, and I think I like it enough. I'm going to merge it down with that one, and then we're going to add in another layer. So this one I'm going to put on top, and let's see, let's just add in a little bit more dark layers. We're going to add in some dark layers to really kind of just give a bit more depth to this whole thing. So we're on that layer, we're on top of everything else. Let's go ahead there. I like the size that I'm already at. Let's go ahead and grab something pretty dark. Okay, actually what we're going to do is jump this up a bit and drop the opacity even more. This is going to help us to really kind of just like kind of add in some more depth, but also just darken everything. So what I'm going to do is really focus in on the dark bottom parts of these hills. Let's go the opacity up a bit more and maybe just drop the size. There we go. This will also help us diffuse some of that coloring that's going on. I'm really going to just kind of look at adding this into the bottom parts of those hills, because they are the bottom of the hill, so it should be darker. I'm going to kind of bring that out into the wide part there, that kind of open valley. Okay, let's jump the opacity up a little bit more and just be a little bit more aggressive with some of what's going on. There we go. And it feels like we're undoing a lot, but we're really not. It's just all really about creating that excellent sense of depth. You can be a little bit more liberal with those ones that are way out there. We're not going to see those quite as well. So we've got a really nice landscape going on. Make sure you take a look at it on multiple ways. So what we've got is looking pretty good. Let's go to the blender tool. I think what we have, our setting is pretty nice. I'm just going to come in here and I'm just going to, first I got to make sure my layer is on the right spot. Let's merge these all down. Let's just kind of come in here and like kind of soften up what's going on. Diffuse some of those harder lines. Bring in some of that color. Soften up that red. Soften up those transitions. Alright, now I'd like to add a little bit more of a defined kind of line in there. So I'm going to add a new layer. I'm going to go to the dry overbrush. We'll bring that size up a little bit. Keep the opacity kind of down, and we're still in that pretty dark brown color. So let's just go on there. Let's see what we can add. Just maybe throw in some harder lines. We've got some really soft stuff going on, so I just want to kind of bring in a little bit more. Give some of these things a little bit of harder edge. Give that color a little bit more potency. There we go. And we can take a look at, and we can always drop that down a little bit. There we go. I like where that's at. Okay, then we'll merge down. Alright, we are getting pretty close to being finished. Okay, just a couple more steps left. Alright, hang in there. Alright, so big finish. We're going to add in some cactus. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add one in way down there. So what we need for this is our pencil tool, and we need a pretty small one. And we're just going to go with straight black with these, okay? That's why we didn't go quite black with our background, because we want these to be just a little bit different. So we're going to go right here, and we're on a different layer, and it's sticking above all the others. Let's just see where this pencil is at. Make this a pretty normal cactus. Let's see. Oh, we want our opacity all the way up. We can always make that adjustment later if we need to. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Let's add in maybe one over here. A little bit bigger. Let's bump up our brush to like a 4. We'll just give this one a 1 arm. Maybe a little arm off to the side. Okay. And we'll go over here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add in one more big one. Okay. So I like where those guys are at. Let's keep this on the same layer, I guess. And we need to make this quite a bit bigger. Let's just go around 10 and see where we're at. Oh, we could go bigger than that. Let's go 15, 20. That looks pretty good. Okay, so the best thing, we're just going to go right there. There we go. Make sure you have a nice wide base. Kind of hard to see, but make sure you can really take a look at what you're doing. Okay, and then we're going to kind of just layer in, maybe give this one 3 arms, make it a little bit different. Much like that Bob Ross drawing that this is based off of. I do not like that last arm. Let's just keep it about like that. Alright? So, what we're going to do is we're just going to add in a little bit of tone to this cactus. So what we want to do, we're going to go to green, okay, and we're going to go to that wheel, and we're going to go way over here in this gray, okay. Now what we want to do is, I think we're going to add this to a different layer, just in case. So what we're going to do is just kind of, we're going to soften that up a bit, so you can see, even though it seems pretty gray, it's very bright. We're going to drop it down, and then we'll drop the opacity down. Let's see how that looks. Even that, we could probably go less than that. Make it a little bit more green. Okay, we'll just back that up. And then we also want to drop our brush size down. That's looking better. This is going to help give our cactus just a little bit of a kind of depth to it. Great thing I love about digital drawing is that you can really just manipulate all you want. So you can get right in there and get exactly what you want going on. Okay, now we're just going to take this color and we're just going to drop the opacity down even further, and then we're just going to drop our color down a little bit more. Let's bring that up a bit. Let's put this on a separate layer so we can manipulate it a little bit more even. So we'll go right there. So I like where it's at, but I just feel like it's a little bright. So we're going to add that in. Okay, just like that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take that opacity and just drop it a little bit. Just so it changes. Okay, and then we'll add in another layer. And we'll do the same thing. We'll keep our same color. We'll go one more. Just so our cactus has a little bit more dimension. That extra effort, that extra step really makes a difference. And we'll just make sure that we drop our opacity more with this last one than we did with the other one. So let's bump that up, I feel like just a little bit. I think we could actually leave it. And we'll take that opacity right there. And we're set with our tree. What I want to do is just add in a little bit of something going on down there. So let's take our dry oil brush and we'll grab this coloring and we'll just kind of throw in some stuff just right there. Let's take our size, we'll grab another color, something pretty dark, just kind of adding in a little bit just so it doesn't stick out too much. Let's blender that then. We'll drop all these down. Merge down, merge down, merge down, and merge down. Alright, let's take our blender tool. Pretty small. Just kind of blend that up and soften it up a little bit. Diffuse that out. And maybe we'll take this and just take the strength down even a little bit and just kind of lightly touch the cactus. It is a cactus. Kind of pokey, so just real light. Okay, just kind of making it a little hazy, just because that's kind of the effect we've got going on with all the watercolor. Alright, so we've got a pretty cool landscape going on there. Let's just add in now our final step. We're going to make a new layer. We're going to go with the watercolor brush, and we are going to go completely just all black. Let's take the opacity there. Let's take the size up kind of right around there. Drop the opacity. We're just going to kind of throw in some shading, just kind of like I didn't want to go there. Just going to kind of darken our whole drawing just a little bit. Just add in a little bit more depth. Kind of give our sky a little bit more tint, and also just adding a little bit of this to the sky just kind of helps. I'm going to drop my size down just a little bit. I'm doing too far. Just kind of helps tint that cloud, because clouds have a lot of depth to them. They're never really that solid in color, so we want to really just make sure that we're kind of giving them a lot of tone. Okay. And I would say take this further than you would imagine, and what we can do, since it's on a separate layer, we can just drop the opacity and it will be just a little bit less. So just go a bit further than you would like. Take things further where you think they would need to go. Kind of add in a little bit more. I like what it's doing with those clouds there. And we're just going to drop the opacity of it so that it feels a little more natural. Okay. I think we just need a little bit down there. Kind of have to feather it a little bit. We need a little bit over here too. Alright, so looks pretty good. Let's take that layer, drop the opacity. We can play around with what we want. Kind of like it there. Yeah, that looks good. What we can always do is really soften it, something like that. I can take that layer and duplicate it. Now I've got two layers, and then I can kind of get even more tone going on. Perfect. Okay. We're going to merge it down, and then we're going to take our blender tool one last time. And what we're going to do is bump up the size, keep the strength down, and just kind of touch up some of those areas. Just giving them a little bit of a spruce. Just so that color is not so solid. Softening all of it. And you can really pushing the clouds one way or the other really helps it to kind of feel a lot more like a cloud should. Alright, and we're set. That's all we've got for the desert drawing. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching Mr. Simonson's Art Emporium episodes. I'd love to see your work. Make sure you upload it, and we can share and talk. Alright, I'll see you next time.